How do you think automation will change the role of the air traffic controller in the future? I think automation will change the role of the controller a lot in the future. Computers will do more routine tasks, like detecting conflicts and sending routine messages. This means controllers will have more time for complex situations and emergencies. However, I do not think automation will replace controllers completely. We need human judgment, especially when something unexpected happens. The job will be different, but it will not disappear. What is ADS-B and how is it changing ATC operations around the world? ADS-B stands for Automatic Dependent Surveillance Broadcast. It is a system where aircraft send their GPS position automatically to controllers and to other aircraft. It is different from radar because the aircraft sends the information itself. ADS-B works very well over the ocean, where there is no radar coverage. This means controllers can now see aircraft crossing the Atlantic or Pacific Ocean much more clearly. It makes ATC safer. What role will artificial intelligence play in air traffic management in the next 20 years? Artificial intelligence will play a bigger role in air traffic management in the next 20 years. AI will be able to predict conflicts much earlier and help controllers make better decisions. But AI also has risks. Controllers may become too dependent on computers. I think AI will be a very useful tool, but the final decision must always be made by a human being. What is sustainable aviation fuel, and why is it important for the future of the industry? Sustainable aviation fuel, we call it SAF, is a cleaner type of fuel for aircraft. It is made from waste products like agricultural waste and old cooking oil, instead of oil from the ground. SAF produces much less CO2 than normal jet fuel. The problem is that SAF is expensive, and we do not produce enough of it yet. We need to produce much more to make a real difference. Do you think aviation can reach net zero carbon emissions by 2050? I think reaching net zero by 2050 will be very difficult, but it is possible if the industry works hard. There are several tools: cleaner fuels like SAF, better aircraft, and better flight routes that use less fuel. But the main obstacle is that aviation is growing quickly. More flights means more pollution. It will require cooperation between airlines, airports, manufacturers, and governments to reach this goal. What is urban air mobility, and how will it change the aviation landscape? Urban air mobility, or UAM, means using small electric aircraft to carry people and goods in cities. These aircraft are called eVTOLs. They take off and land vertically like a helicopter. For aviation, this is a big change, with many small aircraft in the same airspace. Controllers will need new systems and new procedures to manage them safely. How might supersonic commercial aviation return, and what challenges would this create? Supersonic commercial aircraft are coming back. Companies are building new aircraft that fly much higher than normal aircraft, and much faster, about Mach 1.7. For ATC, this creates challenges. Controllers will need new rules for separation at very high altitude. Also, supersonic flight over land is restricted because of the sonic boom. What is CPDLC and how will it change communication between pilots and controllers? CPDLC stands for Controller-Pilot Data Link Communications. Instead of talking by radio, pilots and controllers can send text messages. This is better because the message is written, reducing the risk of mishearing. It also reduces frequency traffic, which is helpful when it is very busy. In the future, more communication will be done by data link, but voice radio remains important for emergencies. What cybersecurity risks does increasing digitalization create for aviation? As aviation uses more digital systems, the risk of cyber attacks becomes bigger. Controllers use computers to manage aircraft, and airports use digital systems for all operations. A cyber attack on ATC systems could be very dangerous. All aviation organizations must protect their systems and have backup procedures in case a digital system fails. What are the main environmental challenges that aviation growth creates? Aviation creates environmental challenges because aircraft produce CO2 and other gases. The number of flights is expected to double by 2040, increasing this impact. The industry is responding with sustainable aviation fuel and direct routes to use less fuel. But many experts believe the industry must do much more to meet climate targets. What is crew resource management, and why is it important in aviation? CRM is training that teaches aviation professionals how to work together as an effective team. It was introduced after investigations showed most crashes were caused by failures in teamwork. CRM teaches staff to communicate clearly, share information, and speak up. It addresses the human side of accidents, which is involved in most aviation incidents. What does authority gradient mean, and why is it dangerous in aviation? Authority gradient means the difference in power or seniority between people in a team. When this is large, a junior person may be afraid to speak up when they see a mistake. This has caused accidents in the past. In ATC today, every controller has the right and the duty to challenge a mistake, regardless of seniority. How do you build effective teamwork with a colleague you have never worked with before? When I work with a new colleague, I introduce myself and explain how I like to work. I tell them that I welcome feedback, and they should speak up if they see a problem. Trust is built through actions. If my colleague sees that I communicate well, follow procedures, and speak up when needed, they will trust me quickly. What is shared situational awareness and why does it matter in a control room? Situational awareness means knowing where all aircraft are and what might happen next. Shared situational awareness means that everyone in the team knows the same things. In ATC, no one can do the job alone. I maintain shared situational awareness by giving regular updates. When the team shares the same picture, they can prevent accidents. How does Just Culture support safety in the aviation industry? Just Culture means people are not punished for honest mistakes. If controllers are afraid, they will hide mistakes, which prevents the organisation from learning and preventing them in the future. Just Culture protects honest mistakes while correcting at-risk behaviour through training. I support it by always reporting incidents honestly and encouraging my colleagues to do the same. Why is assertiveness an essential skill for air traffic controllers? Assertiveness means speaking up clearly and calmly when you see a problem. If I see my colleague making an error, I must speak up immediately and calmly to maintain safety. I also need to be assertive with pilots. If a pilot requests something that is not safe, I must clearly say no and explain the reason while remaining respectful. How does communication failure cause accidents in aviation? When a pilot hears the wrong runway or altitude, they may do something dangerous. The most important prevention system is the read-back, hear-back system, where the controller checks the pilot's repeat. ICAO standard phraseology also helps by using specific words to reduce misunderstanding. These systems work together to catch communication errors before they cause accidents. What makes an effective leader in an aviation team? Leadership means that people follow you because they trust you. A good leader communicates clearly and creates an environment where everyone feels safe to speak up. The best leaders ask for opinions and admit when they are wrong. In ATC, every controller can show leadership by being reliable and supporting their colleagues. How do you think cultural differences create teamwork challenges in international aviation? Different cultures have different communication styles. In some, it is impolite to disagree with a senior person, which can be dangerous if a mistake is not challenged. The industry uses CRM training to teach that speaking up is part of the job. Standard phraseology also helps by giving everyone the same language for safety communications. What do you consider to be the biggest safety challenge facing aviation today? In my view, the biggest safety challenge is the integration of new technology, especially drones and electric aircraft, into airspace designed for traditional planes. Also, as more automation enters ATC, controllers must be careful not to rely too much on computers and lose their basic skills. The industry needs new training to manage these safely. How does fatigue affect safety in aviation, and what measures are used to manage it? Fatigue is a serious safety risk because it slows thinking and makes mistakes more likely. Night shifts are especially difficult because the human body naturally wants to sleep. The industry manages fatigue through rules about duty limits, mandatory rest periods, and regular breaks. Controllers must tell their supervisor if they are too tired to work safely. What is the global pilot and controller shortage, and what are its implications for safety? The industry does not have enough controllers in many parts of the world. Training takes up to 4 years, and many experienced staff retired during the pandemic. When there are not enough controllers, those working have more aircraft to manage, increasing workload and fatigue. Governments need to invest more in training new staff. What is automation dependency, and why is it a serious risk in modern ATC? Automation dependency means relying too much on automatic systems. This is dangerous because when the system fails, the controller must use their own manual skills to manage the situation. The solution is to train controllers regularly without automation to make sure their basic skills stay strong. We must use automation as a tool, not a replacement for human skill. How is climate change creating new operational challenges for air traffic controllers? Climate change is creating increasingly difficult conditions. There is more unpredictable turbulence and storms are becoming more severe, forcing aircraft to change altitude and routes. Extreme heat events also reduce aircraft performance, meaning planes need more runway. All of these changes mean more work for controllers and more complex traffic management. Why is mental health a growing challenge in the aviation industry? Mental health is a growing challenge because the job is very demanding. Pilots and controllers work long hours and carry a lot of responsibility for people's lives, creating stress and burnout. The problem is that many are afraid to ask for help, worried they might lose their license. The industry needs better confidential support systems where people can get help in confidence. What challenges does rapid aviation growth in developing regions create for global safety? Aviation is growing very quickly in parts of the world like Africa and South Asia. This creates challenges because safety systems, training, and equipment may not grow at the same speed. This is a global problem because all aircraft share the same sky. ICAO helps countries improve their safety systems. It is important that all countries have strong safety standards.